everyone, today I'm going to be doing a book review on Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlam, I think is how you say it. Our main female character is a teenager named Delphine, who is a farm girl, and our main male lead name is Tomas. Let me just come straight out that there is no romantic involvement between them. Tomas is a warrior, and he's quite good at what he does. There's also a priest that comes into play. His name is Monsieur, I think is how they say it. This book does contain a lot of like Italian or like French words and names, so it kind of got a little confusing in certain parts in regards to that. But I listened to the audiobook because the author himself actually sits and reads the book to you, which I thought was just awesome. And he's really funny because he'll just be sitting there like drinking wine, and you can like see his cat or hear his cat running around or his dog, and like he'll mess up on parts and he'll just be like, oh shit, please forgive me, I have to go back. And it's so funny, like, and he just does it so well. Like, his voice is actually really calm and soothing. So I would highly recommend just going to YouTube and searching Between Two Fires. You'll find it, and it has his name on it because it's his YouTube channel, and he reads it for you. That's my suggestion. That's what I did. So Tomas, in the beginning of this book, is with a gang of bandits, and they go to a barn and a farm, and they kill a donkey, and they discover a young girl who you eventually find out to be Delphine. You don't know her name for many chapters. I think I was probably like over 2 hours in before I finally figured out, or they finally said what her name was, which was actually kind of cool in a way, because that's not a very common thing to have in any kind of book. So they're in there, they have this donkey slaughtered. Now, like, the bandit or mercenary leader, who's not Tomas, it's like some other dude, wants to rape Delphine, and Tomas is like, no, you're not doing that. Like, it's not gonna be a thing. So the leader sends another guy to go get her, and Tomas ends up killing all the guys that he was in that band with. And he doesn't kill the dude who went to get her, but ends up like tying him up, and then Delphine and him end up leaving and going together. Now, this world that they are going out into is set in medieval times during the plague. Now, if you don't have a lot of knowledge about the plague, like the Black Plague, it doesn't really affect you too much going into the story. However, I think that it is also a very interesting time. So I would suggest going to last podcast on the left. They have a multi-part podcast review, or not review, but they talk about the Black Plague, because it's not just one type of Black Plague. There's 3 different kinds of Black Plagues, and they do such a great job about talking about like side effects, symptoms, how religion comes into play. So in this book, religion also has a very big part to play. Because of this plague, a lot of people are thinking God abandoned them, that he doesn't love them anymore, and in a way, that's what happens. So you do get to have little tidbits of angels and devils, and the angels knowing that God has gone away, and the devils are trying to take over the world or take over the earth. So angels are trying to come down to earth to save humanity. So Delphine is able to talk and see angels, but only when they want her to. So she's like a holy person, and she's very innocent, but she's also like very devout in her religion. There are times where, you know, her faith may slip just a tiny little bit, but then she just gets back on that faith horse and just kind of is trying to lead Tomas in the direction she needs to go, because she needs to go to very specific places to get very specific things or meet very specific people in order to save the world. So Tomas originally is just thinking she's a stupid little girl and doesn't believe in the fact that angels are talking to her, or that she has a higher, not that she has a higher power, but she has like a higher purpose in life, and that she needs to do this because it's kind of like God's will, because the angels are telling her what to do, and the angels are an extension of God, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So Tomas and Delphine go off. They come across this priest, Mathieu, and they go on this epic, fun adventure together. Not really fun. I don't know why I said fun. It's not fun. This is actually considered like a horror book. I mean, to me, I don't really think it's horror. Maybe I'm just comparing it too much to that last weird book that I read that legitimately seemed like a gruesome horror book. This one is like a fantasy, mythical, I don't know. It was a really good story. Let me just say that outright. You should read it, listen to it, okay? Like 10 out of 10. All right. But they go on this adventure to save the world together. Even though Tomas is very skeptical up until a certain point, you get to see, let me just give you a little glimpse of the stuff, like the monsters and whatnot. So you have corpse horrors, I'm calling them that. You have monsters, and I'm saying monsters because there's a couple different kinds of them, and I'm not going to sit here and describe how every single one of them looks like. You also have the demons or the devils. You have the angels that come into play. You also have like these stone statue humans, like in another part, like another village along the way. There's bandits, there's thieves, there's evil popes and priests, there's zombies in a part of it. So you have like this nice wide array of all these different monsters, creatures, bad guys. But also you have just normal humans who are pieces of shit, or you have people who are really nice and friendly, you know, who are just trying to get by with the plague and all this jazz. I will say one of the grossest parts of the whole story is like Tomas is laying on the riverbank, basically dying, and a plague woman goes up to him, sticks her tongue in his mouth. Remind you, she has the plague. And it's just like, we're married now, and I will meet you in heaven, and dies on top of him. Like, when I read that part, I was blown away. I was just like, what the frick? Are you kidding me, lady? Like, that is so disgusting. Now, I will say there's not a lot of like funny moments that are gonna make you laugh out loud, but Tomas has a lot of very funny ways of swearing. I wish I could just like spit one out, but his swearing is very funny. If you read it, you'll see, because it's not like he just like says the F word or the S word. He yeah. Anyway, I'm just messing that up. I don't know what I'm talking about. Aside from that, something I also really enjoyed is that the beginning of chapters, you start out with other people, and then it merges into the main characters. Like what I just said, the plague woman. Okay, so in the beginning of that chapter, you're in her perspective. She's talking about like how she knows she's dying. None of her family is willing to help her because she has the plague. No one in the village wants to help her because she has the plague. So she's wandering around, just wandering around, knowing she's gonna die. And that's when she sees him, kisses him, dies on top of him. And then it merges into Tomas, the priest, Delphine. That happens in a lot of chapters where it'll start with some just random person, and then it just merges in with what the main characters are doing. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a really cool way to kind of get other people's perspective as they go on their journey as well. So Delphine, I think I mentioned before, she kind of gets like possessed by angels, not in a bad way, but she'll just be sitting there, and then like all of a sudden she'll just be speaking a lot of Latin, or they'll be meeting some like random person, like some random Italian person who's just on his way back home, and she'll speak to him in his native tongue about his wife and other stuff that only he would know. But it's not her speaking, like it's the angels take over her body and use her to spread messages and warnings to people to get them to not die, basically. Or her body will be taken over and she'll start playing, like, I don't remember if it was a violin or a flute or what it was, but her body gets taken over by an angel, and she can like play like the instrument like she's been playing it her whole life. But then after she's done, she can't do it again because that angel's already left her body. I really like this book. I really like the ending. The last 2 chapters had me where I was on the verge of tears. None of the tears came out, but I was on the verge of tears. They were there. They were hurting my eyeballs, but I didn't let them fall. I would highly recommend you taking time and reading or listening to this book. I thought it was fantastic. It was probably one of the better fantasy books that I have read in a while, and I really enjoyed it. Even with, you know, the sad parts that happen, and even with people like getting arms cut off, like it was a really good story, and it was nice and fast paced. There was no real lulls in it. They just continuously were doing stuff, going places, being attacked by monsters or devil demons, or there's like giant battles with angels and demons, or people are trying to, you know, take their money. There's always stuff going on in this book, in their adventure, and it doesn't feel forced, nor, like I said, there's a real lull in the story. It was really well written, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed listening to the author reading his own book. It was quite a pleasure. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and yeah, bye everyone.